Hello friends, it's 8 p.m. right now, almost 9 p.m. and tomorrow is going to be season 3 of Lostark. During the streams and stuff, people have been asking me what the exact plans are and what kind of stuff that I prepared for. So I'm making this super short video to show you guys what I have and what I've thought so far and what I'm going to prepare. Okay, so if I look at the roster here, I have a 1643 bar, 1641 gunslinger, 1646 slayer, 1644 artist, 1630 shadowhunter, and 1661 gunnet. Obviously the eye levels are kind of like off by ones because they're all doing advanced honing. For example, my bard is plus 20 advanced honing on the weapon, plus 20 on the gloves, but the rest are 10s. So the reason why everyone is trying to advance hone at the moment is because when you go to tier 4 gear, the advanced honing for tier 4 gear is going to require tier 4 material. So what people are going to think about is, oh, so tier 4 material might be more expensive, so let me just finish the advanced honing right now. So the reason why I'm not doing it is because I know that I don't have enough bound items. I have 32,400 guardian stones and I have some leap stones available, but I know it's not going to be enough to get it to 20. So what I'm doing is, some of these materials are going to be a waste, but I'm just going to let it through because my goal was to have one character to be at max advanced honing. So my character Gunlancer, he's at all plus 23 and weapon at plus 25, and they all have plus 20 advanced honing. So it's done with advanced honing. If we're done with all that, it's going to be 1661. And when you transfer over to tier 4 gear, you plus 20 on that. So if my Gunlancer gets all tier 4 gears, he's technically going to be 1680, 1.66. Instead of buying materials off of the shop, because it requires me to buy these fusion materials, these guardian stones, leap stones, etc., I calculated it and it wasn't like, and I was like, I'm not gonna like have all these characters pushed over to a certain amount because I don't know what eye level the new raid is going to be. So looking at the roadmap again, the new chaos dungeon daily is going to be 1640 and 1660, and as long as I transfer over my gear, I'll be able to run 1660 chaos dungeon, which is the highest one that is available. In my case, when I usually play games, I usually don't overspend except my main, the main that I'm going to take on, like blind runs. I always try to increase the performance of the character as high as possible without like spending too much. So at currently, everything is paused and I do have extra fusion materials available and I do have extra leap stones available. All these are cleaned out. So I just decided to sell everything that I have now because when the update happens, you will need to, convert them as a ratio and they usually don't give you good value out of it. I have sold it to people who are FOMOing. So I sold them all yesterday. Okay, so I sold them all yesterday and then I have 3 million gold. So this 3 million gold has been collected because every week, maybe up to about 2 months, I haven't been really honing at all. This is including advanced honing because I was able to run any raids without issues with the static and I didn't really bust anymore. So my goal was to just finish raids quickly and those goals just keep stacking up and up and up. So I have everything saved up so that I can utilize when T4 happens. And when T4 happens, most of this gold is probably going to be utilized on Gunlancer if I have to. But again, this is all based on what the actual requirement is for the new raid and the stuff that I need to spec up. So let's go over my character a little bit. So this is my bard. As you can see, my gems are kind of smudged. 10s are going to be 8s, right? So all these are going to be 5s. In order for you to use T4 gems, you do need to be 1640. So they're just going to be automatically converted. And I'm just going to test out that if it's going to be good or not. Some people have been asking what the actual gem allocations are going to be. It's probably going to be 8 and 3, where 8 cooldown gems and 3 damage gems. There's going to be an identity damage gem, and there's going to be damage gem for like 2 skills. So maybe it's just gonna go on Heavenly Tune, and maybe it might go on Sound Vibration, the buff skills. Or if it's going to be on maybe like marking skill, because maybe marking gives you additional bonuses. That is probably going to be maybe like level 5 gem. Not sure, but I'm just gonna try to do bare minimum all these characters. So the characteristics of all these 4 characters actually, and this character is going to be bare minimum. This is my ult that I always check out. What is the bare minimum requirement to like run specific raids in a static, etc. And I did this for Echidna Hard. It is like a good bandwidth test to see how much money how much gold or how much investment I would need to do to increase your character's strength. Okay, I'm going over my gunslinger. My gunslinger is 1641, and her weapon is at 20 on the advanced zone, 10s on the glove, but 5 on pants, 10s on chest, and 10 and 1 on the hat. And this is because I did a bare minimum just to go to Behemoth. I mean, she does have Transcendence on the weapon. The reason why I didn't invest anything at all here is because I think I'm just gonna pause. We're pretty much parking here based on what the builds are going to be, because I'm actually scared when T4 comes in. A lot of people are misunderstanding this. There's going to be a lot of change. So like, you know how you have class engravings and then you have 5 engravings, right? And when T4 kind of hits, all this stuff is going to be allocated, and then you have the class engraving stuff allocated on accessories, and then you're going to be technically having 6 sixes, because these are all the regular engravings that you need to realize, which is a 5-3, and then you have the accessory class engraving that can be utilized. So, you know, when you have like TTH, Peacemaker, etc., we have no idea what kind of build is going to be appearing, and there's going to be a lot of lab work required to do so. In my case, I don't think I'm gonna be having enough time to do lab work on all these characters. So the lab work that I'm gonna do one at a time is, since the raid is going to either happen at the 24th or the 31st, since we don't have that much time, I'm just gonna be lab working on my Gunlancer. Something like Gunslinger and Slayer, they might be staying on tier 3 builds because the raid goal is going to be 60,000 per week by doing Theomine Hard, Echidna Hard, and Behemoth. And there's going to be 21,000 gold bi-weekly on top of that, so it's going to be that much gold. And since this character can technically generate this much gold, and I don't know how much gold Egg Gear is going to be, that's just gonna make your character a little stronger, right? But if I'm going to be spending like 1,000,000 gold to get to Egg Gear, and like if I need to spend a significant amount for that, I just need to step back a little bit and monitor a little bit and decide if I want to increase this character a little stronger. And since playstyles are going to change, playstyle is probably one of the most important thing I do value. Instead of the strength, it needs to be, the character needs to be comfortable for me, and needs to be fun for me, and that's why I like playing Gunlancer. I like playing all my characters because they're more oriented towards playstyle. That's why for Gunslinger, she's going to be parked for a while, and if she isn't, if I know, and then the playstyle is going to be fun, obviously I'm going to push her afterwards. And this is probably the thought process that I have currently going into season 3. Okay, and going over my Slayer, I have the weapon at 20, gloves at 20, and pants at 20, and 3 pieces at 10. So she actually got a lot of stuff. And if you notice, I only have 727,000 fragments, and she barely has any bound items. And this is because I actually used most of her stuff. I actually spent a little bit because she is technically my latest character in the roster. I played Bard, Gunslinger, Artist, Shadowhunter, and Gunlancer for a very long time. That's why they have millions of shards. But Slayer, she kind of joined recently. You know, I really enjoy playing Slayer. That's why I spent a little bit. And she is definitely going to T4. And to clarify, every single one of my character is going to be T4 because the requirement to be T4 is 1620. And the requirement to run the dailies, equipping T4 gem, is going to be 1640. So if I switch everyone to T4 eventually throughout the week, they're going to be 1660. And 1660 is going to be a really good eye level to possibly enter Egg Gear, because most people are speculating Egg Gear is going to be 1660 on normal mode and then maybe like 1680 on hard mode or something like that. We don't know what's gonna happen, but that is the speculation. I'm pretty sure all these characters can actually go to Egg Gear, but we don't know how much additional resources you need to get it ready for it. So like, you know, like the gem levels required, etc. Like all that stuff is going to be calculated within like my static, and see like you're testing out DPS and things. So when that is going to happen, it's going to be much easier. Okay, and going over my artist here, my artist is gems about the same as my support. So as you can notice, my support gems, my support builds are kind of like bare minimum. So you can kind of call it the rice eater. Honestly, I like playing supports, and I am taking advantage of parties lacking support. So my support tends to get into parties much easier because she does have everything that is needed. The mandatory stuff that she requires is something like elixirs, and then if you have full transcendence and if you have weapon transcendence, her buffs are much stronger. Level 10 gem versus like 9 gem doesn't really make a big difference. It just makes you look like you're a premium support, right? So I don't usually do that. I should though. The reason why I'm bringing both of the supports up, and I did most of the advanced honing pretty much the same as my bard did. One thing that I've heard from most of my friends and the players that I play with, they're worried that there's going to be a lack of supports because when season 3 happens, supports are going to be wearing attack gems too. So when people are asking me, hey AT, are you gonna wear attack gems immediately? And I'm like I said, I might be just wearing a level 5 tier 5 gem, and then it just barely adds it in. Some people actually play cheaper than I do on supports. Like some supports carry like level 4 gems and stuff, and 5 gems even till this day, and they don't even have transcendence like ready to go, and then their accessories are like green quality. Like you see those kind of people. But in my case, I have the supports, 2 supports at bare minimum, is because my static members don't really have many supports. Like Wine Blue has a support, MJ has a support. We do cover like 5 to 6 supports, which is good, so we can do like 6 runs. So since I really like playing supports in general, I am bringing both of them together to Edgar if I can, but if I can't, I will be just running normal and then just figuring out there. Okay, and going on with my Shadowhunter has pretty much nothing. She only has level 10 advanced honing, and then rest are kind of lower, and this is because I did advanced honing just to match 1630, so I could do like bare minimum Echidna Hard, bare minimum Theomine Hard, etc. She has no problems clearing it because she does have full transcendence, but obviously when I apply to parties with this character in Korea right now, they're going to be denying me because the general power creep of Korea has been increased to like 1640, like 1650 plus. So someone like me is going to be very hard getting a party, and so she usually just go to static. This is the character that I take to Monday static. It is a good bandwidth test to see like what you actually require to just clear it without any issues if you have good party mates. One thing that I'm curious about is I love playing Shadowhunter. I love playing DI Shadowhunter. I've been playing for a while. I don't know what the build is going to be, and you notice like they take 2 gems, and I wonder how much gem they would actually need in the future when season 3 starts. And based on that, maybe I'll probably figure out a different build on it. She does have a 9/7 stone, so if Shadowhunters become really strong at season 3, you don't know what characters can become really strong at season 3. You can see a totally different meta change because everyone is getting something new, and they're going to have new builds, and there's going to be totally new calculations for it. There's just going to be a lot of lab work for every single character, and eventually I'm going to be doing it, but on the first week I'm going to be focusing on Gunnesser again. You guys watch your favorite streamers and they're just going to be focusing on their main now because everything is just going to be a clean slate. There's going to be new builds, and I've been saying new builds multiple times, but this is how much of a big change this is. In summary, my Shadowhunter is probably just going to be parked here and then just generate extra gold for the time being, maybe the first 2 to 3 weeks, or maybe even after egg year, who knows. Okay, last one, my Gunlancer. My Gunlancer is the main character. He does have all level 10 gems. He does have full transcendence, but not as high because they're all 20s, because I was unlucky. He doesn't have a 9/7 stone, which is unfortunate. It's an 8/7. Based on season 3, what I'm going to be experiencing, all the income that my other characters are gathering is going to be focused towards my Gunnesser so that I can prepare my character as high as possible when we're doing a blind run. Because generally my thought process for doing things, I want to prepare as much as I can. I think that's also part of the skill, like so that I don't want to be a dead weight to the team just because I don't prepare as much. You know, I grind as much as I can to get the character as strong as possible. You know, when you raid lead too, like since I'm going to be raid leader for it, I don't want to be like the weakest one on terms of like spec, like even though it's just how it looks, like just how you kind of respect others' preparation, and you know, I just prepare as much as I can. And for Gunnesser, obviously my Gunnesser is going to be taking the most time on doing the builds, and the lab work is going to be done on my Gunnesser most of the time. And when I'm done with Gunnesser, I'll definitely make like a short guide, like what I think about it, and then I'll just share like what I'm using. It might not be even the best one, obviously, because there are so many players that are way better. I'm always a type that I always change the stuff that I like so that I don't pay attention too much on things when raids are actually happening. Like when raids are happening, you're looking at patterns, like, you know, you gotta do some calls, and you know, you might have to use esters, and you want to look at patterns and all these other things to kind of focus on. And I don't want to be doing something really difficult in a new build just to try to push for DPS because I trust my teammates to do a lot of DPS, and that has never been an issue since all the new raids that I've been doing so far. You know, Akan's been Gunlesser, Voldy's, Theomine's been Gunlesser. I did the first race with my Gunlesser. I did Echidna with Gunlesser, and then Behemoth with Gunlesser. And this case, Igir and, you know, Bro Shots in the future at September, everything is going to be Gunlesser first. So I don't know if I'm going to be focusing on all 6 characters now because they do take a lot of time. And if I think that this is going to be taking a lot of time, I might be just focusing on Gunlesser and while everyone parking and just generate gold in the meantime. So to me, it might be 1 character pushing for Season 3 or 3 characters. So in terms of like ranking, it would be Gunlesser, Artist, Slayer, Bard, Gunslinger, and Shadowhunter in terms of the ranking that I would try to grow my characters on. Because eventually, if my Gunlesser gets strong, I don't need to spend any money on him, right? Then you will need to spend on like, you know, Artist and then Slayer and then Bard, etc. All that stuff. That's what I'm thinking these days. I don't know how you guys are actually playing the game, but this is how I've been playing for like the last 2 years. I always try to focus on making a character that I really like, improving the character I really like, and then you generate gold and then you kind of slowly raise it, not taking emotional choices and take it slow. And as long as you have a static, you don't need to be stressed out too much about like getting into pug parties and stuff. Everything that I have so far is all sold, and I didn't get to read some of the legendary engravings, so I have it as a box here. So I don't have that much engravings read up. I actually read most of them, like, you know, Keen Blunt, Grudge, Cursed, etc. But some of these stuff like Supercharge, Hitmaster, like Adrenaline, I should have read it long time ago, but it's a little too late now. So if any engraving is like super important, I'm planning to use these books to read the ones that I absolutely need. That's also another thing where my Gunslinger and my Slayer, they require different engravings too as well, right? So I'm going to focus on Gunlancer for now because we don't know how often this legendary engravings are going to be dropped, like how expensive it's going to be in Season 3. One thing I forgot is this platinum ticket. I am keeping it, and then most people are actually keeping platinum tickets so that they can use it when tier 4 comes out, just to check if you can actually drop tier 4 stuff within platinum ticket. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be, but some people are actually saying that. I mean, if I do have time to do platinum tickets actually, but if you're a case where you have a lot of platinum tickets, it's pretty important to keep it until tomorrow. We'll see where the use is going to be. In summary, I am completely paused, and this is what I've gotten so far. Excited for Season 3. The West audiences, I think tomorrow it is very important to check like what are the changes are going to be to make a decision until September, because as far as I know, you guys are going to get it way later, except solo content. It's going to be pretty important for that in regard. So with that, I'm going to finish talking this short chat here. I hope you guys are going to be excited as just as much as I am tomorrow, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.